Ladies and gentlemen of the Heavy Metal History Podcast, welcome to the best of metal records for 2024. We're Jeremy Harlan from Sunmancer. What's up?
What's up, dude? Thanks for having me.
And then special guest Fred Calderon from Carnifex. What's up, Fred?
What up? What up?
Oh yeah.
So we're gonna talk about our favorite records of the year, or records that we listen to. This is by no means a end all be all kind of thing. I'm sure everybody knows that. It's all your personal opinion, but hopefully you will listen to this and find some records that maybe you passed up or some new ones and be like, well, damn, I'm glad I checked this out. So that's the plan at least.
So I'm here. I want to hear what you guys listened to that missed on my radar. But then again, my
Yeah.
radar was really small, so I missed out on a lot.
Yeah, same here, man. I'm kind of interested in what you guys got. Last time that me and Dustin did this, there was, I mean, half of his list, more than half of his list, were things that I wasn't even aware of. So, and they were cool stuff. So, let's see what we got.
I think Jeremy, like I told you in the text, I was like almost everything that first one we did is like I think there's like three bands that made it to the end and that's it. Everything else
Yeah,
is different.
mine's kind of the same way, man. And then I was talking to some friends of mine. I'm in a group text with a couple of my best friends I grew up with. We call it the International Death Metal Group Text. And I was sending them my list and kind of talking about like I may be a little more biased to what came out like more recently. So, but I do
Yeah.
have some things from the old list that made it from the first half of the year. So,
Isn't that always the case, though? It's like what ends up coming out at the end is what's on your mind because it's the most recent.
Yeah.
yeah, all
Unless it
those
was
like
just that
Sputnik
good.
lists and all that, like yeah, it usually is like things that came out in, October, November, December.
Yeah. Yeah,
Before
I
we
was
get
kind
into
of
the list, though, I want to find out what's a record you were looking forward to that came out this year that like you that was what you were waiting for, and then it finally dropped.
Jeremy, you want to go?
Okay. Yeah, I got one answer that will answer your question, and then one is kind of the opposite of that question. Uh, the first one would be the new Fit for an Autopsy record.
Mm.
I was definitely waiting on that. Loved the last one. Oh, what the future holds. Kind of wanted to see where they were going to take, a little bit more of that next step, from the last one. And then the other one was a complete surprise. It was a surprise EP, the new Silosis. They just put out a record last year, full length, that was incredible. So I didn't see that coming at all, and when it came out, blew me away.
Mine is Wolfheart. I was super stoked about it all year, and then I got to it and listened to it, and I didn't even like it.
Oh no.
Oh,
They put too much fucking clean singing in it, man. Like, I'm not against clean singing, don't get me wrong, but for what they do, they have never used clean singing before, so it was very weird and very much like his other band Before the Dawn. So I was just like, this is Before the Dawn record. That's not what I want. I want a Wolfheart record. Because I was convinced that was going to be like my number one record of the
Mm,
year, and then
mm.
like, nope,
Yep, yep, yeah. Can't get too attached, man. Not before you
nope.
hear it.
But I was waiting, man. I was like, this is the one I want. All for
That's
Hell
why I
nothing.
asked
yeah.
because it's like that anticipation is like the stuff that you
Hmm.
start preemptively wanting in it, and then you don't know what's
Mhm.
going on with the writing or what's going on in the recording, and then that's a completely different mind space they're at.
Yeah,
Yeah, sure. You might
yeah.
not even know who's like in the band at the time. Like you might be thinking of a lineup from record from 2 years ago, and then they don't even announce their new drummer and vocalist until the, first single drops or whatever.
Ooh, there's a record we're going to talk about that came out this year that I had that exact conversation about because what the expectations from the fans were, I'm like, none of those dudes are in that band anymore, so you can't
Yeah.
have that expectation.
Ooh, yeah.
Right, right.
Well, you guys want me to here with my bottom pick of the year?
Sure.
All right, so this is one of the ones that was left over. My number 10 pick is the Enterprise Earth Record Death and Anthology. I mean, like I said in the last episode, man, I wasn't really into this record, and this is just one that like kept kind of sticking with me every couple months. I'd be like, oh, I'm done listening to that, and then like a song would come on and be like, fuck, this is actually really damn good. And it's a band that again uses clean singing, but I
Hmm.
wasn't familiar with them enough to like know that they use it like occasionally. And I guess this is like they were like really branched out and used it, but it just kind of worked for me. I don't know. It's my bottom number 10. pick for my
Yeah, still a
favorite
badass record,
albums.
man, that I kind of forgot about for a little while.
Hmm.
But can't forget that Wes Hauck guest solo.
Yeah. Yeah, man. All the solos on that record are like fucking insane, man.
Oh yeah, dude,
It's
those
kind of
guys are
crazy.
super good.
I think they added those vocal elements because the I forget his name, but the vocalist has that in his wheelhouse.
Damn.
He's not just a brutal vocalist.
Which is
It's
great,
good though.
Yeah, because
in
it's
my
not
opinion.
Dan, it's
Yeah.
someone else. Yeah, yeah. Is this
Yeah.
because he? It's you're talking about the record or the EP?
Yeah, Death and Anthology. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, we're good.
Okay, okay.
Nice, nice.
I was like, I
By the
looked
way,
this
yeah,
up.
Dustin, we talked about this earlier. I do have a couple EPs on here. I know we're calling
Mhm.
it album of the year, but there's no fucking rules here, man. We're going for it.
That's what I
Yeah.
was listening to.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of EPs. I was like, those are what I missed. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
All
got
right,
10 albums, 3 EPs, and then one honorable mention. That's my list.
I didn't
nice.
make a list. I thought we were just talking about it. So I'm gonna just talk about what's on your guys' list.
That
Okay.
that sounds good to me, man.
That
Yeah,
works.
there we go. That sounds cool. And then yeah, feel free. If you got one that you want to bring up, feel free.
Well, if, I'll
Yeah.
talk about records that I listened to that didn't end up on your lists.
There we
Perfect.
go. Yep. Yeah, and chime in on anything that you know what we're talking about.
That's what I'm saying. Like the enterprise stuff is like I think he's trying to. I don't think he's doing it on purpose to do it. I think it just came out that he has that in his arsenal to like do those kind of vocals, and so
Mhm.
they're adding it in there. Just another element to add. They got it. Why not use it?
Yeah, it
Absolutely.
worked, in my opinion. All right,
All
Jeremy,
right.
what is yours?
So I got this is a band that I was not familiar with before this year at all. Harriet, Devoured by the Mouth of Hell. Do you guys know who that is?
No?
No.
Okay. So I first kind of discovered this band. I was watching like a Jackson Guitars promo video, I think like late last year, and it had badass guys on it. And they're all Jackson guys, and they're basically just it's an advertisement for their new line of guitars or whatever. But it was like Dave Davidson, Misha Mansour, Marty Friedman, Clint Tustin, and then this chick. And I'm watching these guys, and these are all top level players, right? And then this chick comes on there, and I hear her solo, and I'm like, okay, I ain't feeling it like those other ones. Not trying to bash or anything, but I kind of, and I'm a little embarrassed to say this, but I was kind of like, oh, they wanted to put a girl in it or whatever.
Sure.
So fast forward, um, I see that Josh Middleton from Silosis posts that he had just like mixed this record. I don't know if he mixed it or helped produce it or whatever, but it was Harriet. And I look it up. I'm like, that's that chick. So she's like the main vocalist, and I mean these are nasty vocals, dude. And badass guitar player. Where I wasn't so impressed, like in the context of her playing next to Misha Mansour and Dave Davidson and Marty Friedman in her band, it sounds awesome, dude. Like
Oh,
she
yeah.
has this kind of like old schooly, kind of what you would hear in like the dime bag era of like guitar solos and stuff. But it's all over. I mean, like, I'm not kidding, man. Like disgusting slow riffs. Uh, she does a lot of vocals. I think their other guitar player does he does a lot of kind of like the deeper vocals, but she kind of has that like mid to high scream that really fits, and she can sing. I know you love clean singing, Dustin.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
but dude, they have a whole song where she's doing clean singing, and it's dark and it's badass. It's like, and it's a big departure from like just the onslaught that you get at the beginning of this record to this kind of like slower melodic, but again, very dark. And then the solo that she's got is killer. So I got that one on there. Definitely one of my favorites and a good surprise for the year.
Oh yeah.
I have to say that's a tough crowd though to like be like in with Marty Friedman and Misha and Dave and just be this
That's what I'm
person.
saying. Like who? I mean, dude, if I was on that, I would look stupid.
Does
you
she,
know.
does she have a signature guitar? Is that why she was on there, or is she
I
just
don't
an
know if she
artist?
has a signature, but like, so this particular, I know she's like endorsed, but this particular video, I'll have to like send it to you guys later because it's really badass. It's like an original song that they put together and they each did a solo on.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it was
That's
like
sick.
I think it was like the line of guitars was like virtuoso.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah. So it's kind
one
of
of
out of
those.
context. Where it's just kind of like, hey, like throw your flavor on this
Exactly.
track that everyone's gonna shred on, but it's it's better to hear what she's actually on. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, in her own context, like
Mhm.
for her band, it is awesome. Love it. Big fan of them now.
That's cool. I'm gonna check that out then.
I'm gonna add it
So
to the
that's
Definitely
what I did
list.
last time. Remember when we were like if we didn't listen to, and I went and checked out like
Hmm.
everything I didn't know from you. It's like,
Yeah,
damn.
dude. That's what
Yeah.
makes this fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, what you got? What's your next one?
All right. So my next one is this band Consumer, but the U is a V,
Hmm.
and their album is
Love that.
called Seelen Frieden, which is and my God, I've been on this band for a couple years now. They're from somewhere over there in Europe. I don't know that it's Germany necessarily, but they're like in that area. Man, they have some of the heaviest fucking shit I've heard in a while. And like,
Saying
here's
a
the
lot.
thing, they use clean singing.
There we go, dude. Hey, it's a nice tool, man. Nice tool to
What's the
break it
style
up.
of music?
I don't really know. Like it's part deathcore, part like Rammstein influence. Like there's a lot of electronica and also like
Oh yeah,
industrial
Okay.
type stuff in there. And man, I don't know whoever mixes their guitars and bass. I mean, it's just like when that fucking open note hits, it hits. And they
Nice.
in context with like and when they do like the low growls and stuff like that. I mean, and they got this weird aesthetic to do as well. It's very like body horror-ish in a way to some of the stuff. But yeah, I've been listening to them since like 2022, so a couple years now when their last album came out, and then they did an EP also this year, and that was gonna, but then they did a whole fucking album, and I was like, well, shit, I'm not even worried about the EP now. Not expecting a full album after them dropping that EP, so it was a nice little surprise. That made my number nine.
Love it, dude. All right. Let's see what we got next. All right, I got Better Lovers, Highly Irresponsible. You
Well,
guys are
yeah,
familiar with these guys. They're all over.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
we were kind of chatting about them a little bit before you got on.
Nice. So I was pretty stoked when they first came out with that last EP, but it was one of those things where it's like they really hooked me with that first song, and then I didn't really get enough to, say that I'm like a fan of them at the time. So when this came out, I was really excited. This actually came out on my birthday. There's a couple song
Hmm,
or a couple albums on this list that came out on my birthday. I don't know what was going on with
nice.
everybody's record labels that week, but it's the day they wanted to do it. So yeah, I just love that it's it brings back. I love Greg Puciato. Brings back a lot of like that era of Dillinger stuff that I was missing, and I
Hmm.
feel like the X every time I die guys, like I didn't really feel that on the EP so much, that they were kind of digging into the Dillinger side of things. Uh, there's a lot of it in the new record, and they even go into things where you don't normally have time to do on like an EP. Like they have a slow song, which is
Hmm.
really badass, and I love having that in like your fourth or fifth song on a full length or whatever. So showed a lot of, you know, of course they did some fan service, a lot of like the I guess you could say southern riffing or whatever. I hate calling those guys
The
southern.
country fried riffing.
Yeah, but I hate
Blues.
calling
It's
that
just blues
because
riffing.
it is right. But like I know a lot
You
of
ain't
guys
calling
that,
that.
yeah, they call it like southern or whatever. It's like, dude, they're from
Yeah.
Buffalo. They're basically Canada,
Yeah, yeah,
so it's hard to
yeah.
say that. But I kind of look at it as like, yeah, like blues riffing or kind of like Black Sabbath,
Hmm.
inspired. There's a lot of even like some of the songwriting like reminds me of like old Corrosion of Conformity and stuff. So it's pretty cool to hear
Yeah.
in a band like this, like an extreme band. So yeah, I just really love this record for like I got to hear their full sound. And I think even with that last EP, they kind of like were writing it as they were already out uh playing the songs like on tours and shit. So I think this one they actually got to sit down and present themselves the way they wanted to.
I
I
wonder if
do
it's a
like
thing where
Greg.
like they got together, they wrote those handful of songs. Oh, there's actually interest in this. They go and tour or play the shows. After them hearing the material as that, like once it's stuck as this is final, them finally them being comfortable talking about like we could have done this, we could have done that, we should do this, and then that's what we get, and that record's finally like them. This is what we should be putting out.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely. It's almost like and I think I heard them say this on like the Downbeat podcast or something recently, but that they were kind of you could even find on YouTube like the early shows that they did on that EP, or the songs sound different now. It's almost like a comedian like going out and working out his new
Yeah, they
jokes.
workshopped.
Yeah, they workshop it live in front of a live audience, which is just something you don't see in
Interesting.
metal. You
Yeah.
know, like when we present a song, when we play it on stage, it's already written, it's already been rehearsed 1,000 times, and it's going to go
Oh, yeah.
exactly that. Our goal is to present it that exact way live, you know? So it's kind of cool that they did it that way. You
Definitely
should.
will have to give it a listen to see what's up with it. Because I do love Greg's voice, man. The fact that they have a slow song means that they're writing to his vocals, and it probably, I don't know if you've ever listened to his Black Queen stuff, but my God.
I've come across it before, but I've never like dug into it.
Yeah. If you're not into like synthwave, probably wouldn't grab you,
Mhm.
but man, his vocals are so good on those records.
I've always thought his cleans were awesome, man. Like the late Dillinger stuff, and
Hmm.
I
Preparation
wouldn't
for
even
this,
say late, but
I listened to his solo EP that he released this year. It was pretty good.
nice, nice. There we go. I'll have
It's
to
got
check that
it's
out. I
Yeah.
didn't
got
know about
it doesn't have the chaotic stuff, the Dillinger stuff. It's like it's structured riffing, but
it.
and there's an ebb and flow. He's got like a pretty chill track and an intro track. It's only technically four songs, but
Hmm.
the thing that gets to me though is that like there's the layering with vocals that's been going on that like Mastodon was doing that like
Mm-hmm.
kind of starts like getting in there. And I know he was doing it before. It's his style, it's his vocals. But when I hear that layer and like I hear that specific thing, it's just like, oh, I can't unhear it, and it's ruined because of that other band. So,
Yeah,
but
I know what you mean.
I know it's him and it's his stuff, and it's not, and they have nothing to do with it. But then I hear that recording, and I'm like, oh, oh,
Yeah,
well. But
I know
it's
what you
good.
mean. I'll definitely check that out.
Yeah, I haven't really delved too much into his solo stuff away from like
It's good
everything
stuff.
else. Yeah.
Yeah, super talented dude, man.
Hmm.
I believe it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, what you
Well,
got?
this is a good segue because the band that I picked next is very Dillinger influenced, I would say.
Okay.
It's the band Pyrrhon, Pyrrhon, and their album Exhaust. Um, man, just chaos, pure chaos. It really feels like took Calculating Infinity but made it death metal, if that makes sense.
Okay.
And there is one song that they kind of pull like the percent burnt kind of riff in there, but it's structured so differently, but still kind of has that same like kind of like that, you know?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah, the vocals are a lot more kind of higher pitched, like old Dimitri, their old singer was, so it
Mm.
kind of like falls in that range of vocals, but some crushing death metal stuff in there too. And then, they kind of go into like that jazz kind of stuff that Ben does in Dillinger as well. I know I'm making it sound like they are like a Dillinger ripoff, but I swear to God, like they, like it's just something that like in my mind that I was like, oh, it kind of sounds like this, but they still have their own unique style of like song composition and structure that it like I couldn't say it's a Dillinger Escape Plan song. It's just they kind
You're,
of have moments where they like
yeah,
delve into
you're
that.
not listening to them because you want that, but you can't
Right.
escape that you've listened to other Dillinger for so long that when you hear those
Right.
elements, you're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
without a doubt.
And it was a surprise record too, man. They just dropped it out of nowhere. I think it's been like 4 or 5 years since their last one, if not longer. And they were just like, "Hey, new album."
Damn.
And then I was like, "Holy shit, gotta check this out!" And yeah, jammed it out for like 2 or 3 months. Still listen to the my favorite song on it occasionally when I'm like, "Yep, I need to hear this song right now."
Nice.
Um,
Never heard
tried
of
getting
them. I'll
them
have
on
to
the
check it out.
podcast, but could not schedule wise to do it.
Just to add on to that, like talking about surprise dropping an album, especially after like 5 years of being gone, like the world that we live in right now is the big waterfall release thing where it's like you release
Hmm.
songs and you just kind of drop them out there every 6 weeks or whatever. And I've seen a lot of bands this year just be like, nah, fuck that. Here's the new album. Didn't promote it at all. Didn't even post the artwork a week before it came out. Nothing. I love it.
No teasers. Here's the whole thing. I like that.
Right.
I like that approach.
Yeah. If you're
Yeah,
confident enough to do it, man, if you got the
Mhm.
listeners, do it. Why not?
yeah. I'd be curious to see if there's in slow rolling it versus here to just get it. you know, as far as like hype and numbers and all that stuff. Because I feel
Yeah,
like in
it's
the
yeah,
end,
they, yeah.
it evens out. But
Yeah, it
I don't know.
depends
I'm
on
not.
like what level you're at. Like,
Yeah,
if you're like Fred's band, then yes, they can do it. If you're like my
Yeah,
band,
but I don't
you
like
have
doing it
to.
all the time. It's like,
Yeah,
okay, the record's turned in. All right, how many months before the record comes out? 6. All right, so we're gonna release a track a month. That's half the record by the time it gets released. And so
yep,
right,
then every song that gets released is under heavy scrutiny, and then they think
true,
that's the whole record. And then the
right,
next song comes out, and if they like the first song, they don't like the second song. If they hated the first song, they like the second song. So it's just you get it, you win them, you lose them, you win them again, and it's like, and then finally the record comes out, and someone's like, oh, those are the 6 songs. I don't care. The first 6 were great. It's like, oh, geez.
yeah,
So you can't, we
yeah,
can't
right,
win. And then yeah, then you pad the plays. So then when someone goes back, like, what song should we play in the set? Well, these ones have the higher numbers. Yeah, but those also came out 6 months before the
right.
record came out, so that doesn't
yep,
count.
Right. Yeah, it's hard to judge when you look at it like that. And we kind of do the same thing. It's like, well, this is our most popular song. It's like, well, because the other 2 songs, that we think are better have only been out for, 2 months.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. But yeah, I think that kind of release thing is better for smaller bands as far as like you want to get those streaming numbers up and you want the algorithm gods to notice you because you're putting out new shit all the time. And, you know, but if you're already like a decent sized band, like, and you drop it and your fans can hear the whole thing in full context,
Yeah.
uh, which is the way you want to write an album anyways. Is like you always think about like how they're going to listen to it from front to back, and like this song goes into this song, and this will kind of transition us into the heavy song or whatever. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
but yeah, when you're releasing like song by song, it's like they scrutinize that one piece when that might even be like a transitionary song, to maybe the second half of the album that's a little bit different or something.
yeah.
They
Honestly, that's
can't
why
all
I'm
be
glad.
singles.
Yeah,
Right.
no way. That's why I'm kind of glad Whitechapel has not put out another new song from their album yet. Like that one was
Yeah.
already so good. It's like just let everybody wait, man. Don't even fucking worry about it.
Mhm.
Ugh.
They'll get
But
the hype up with one more.
But
I'm
that's what
just
they did that
guessing.
for. Yeah, the
Yeah.
old
yeah.
logo, and it's all heavy. I was
Oh
like, oh,
yeah.
geez.
Yeah, but you know they're not going to do all that. I mean, like it's not going to be just like that on the album, if I'm guessing, because I think I know a lot of people. They lost a lot of people by going clean and everything, but
Mm.
I don't know. A lot of that shit was badass on the last two.
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen Phil basically say like, yeah, we're going back to somatic era, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Which I'm cool
Could
with.
still surprise us.
I'll believe it when I hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But that's not what I want. I want them to do what they're gonna do. But
yeah,
if it's heavy and good, fuck yeah. If it's what they were doing before and still good, then yeah. I don't
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be somatic. But if something is making them go back and revisit that stuff, or what maybe was that's the tough part. All this growing up they've done, and then like what those last 2 records, wasn't it like lethargic stuff fulfilled to release?
Yeah.
He
Mhm.
to talk about that stuff. You can't bottle that back up and then go back to what it was doing back then. And he might try to re-listen to that kind of music, but it's not going to come out the same.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I kind of like that they've evolved as much as they have, and yeah, like you're saying, you can't bottle all that back up. I don't want to see them just abandon all that ground they've made. But like we were talking earlier about, they have the tools. Use them.
Yeah, yeah.
I have a feeling they'll do
Yeah.
that.
I'm
I
excited though.
mean,
They definitely built the hype though. We're all
Hmm.
on the
yeah,
hype train.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
I will say I doubt they're gonna write the same stuff lyrically that was on Somatic. I think they've definitely outgrown that, and we're not gonna get coming in mouth lyrics and putting the foam.
Come on, he's got to put one of those in there, dude.
That'd be pretty funny.
That'd be awesome.
Jeremy, what's your next pick?
All right, so this is one that survived my earlier list, and so I'm not going to
Uh,
talk about it too much because there's an hour or however long of us talking about it 6 months ago. But Job for Cowboy Moon Healer.
Ooh, that's the one I was teasing earlier. That was the one.
Nice,
That was a
nice.
conversation that everyone was having because they were like, "What do they want that record to sound like versus what they got?"
Right. Yeah.
mm,
And so with that one, I kind of heard it and it grabbed me because I wasn't the biggest fan of the one before that. Like they kind of moved to the fretless bass and the sound was just kind of jarring to me at the time. I wasn't really like it or not. It was more like getting more prog like they did on what was it, Sun Eater?
Yep, yep, yep.
Uh, it
And it wasn't
just
fretless
it wasn't
unless there's
fretless.
a track, unless there's a fretless track. But no.
It may you would know better than
Yeah, yeah,
me,
yeah.
but
I know what bass he used. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay. Well, I will say the way that they were mixing the bass, I think, was a little jarring based on, and plus, he kind of shreds more
Yeah, yeah.
as a bass player than what you kind of used to hearing from them.
Yeah.
So, but
It's Diction
a great,
Desalos. He played bass for Cephalic Carnage, and then it's Jason Sukoff. He likes to make aggressive mixes, and then if
yeah.
he's got a good bass player in there, he's gonna make that stuff really pop. And he's
Oh yeah,
yeah,
yeah, and not like a knock. It's just I don't know. And when did that come out? 2015 or something.
Yeah, a
So
while ago.
I've grown as a listener so much since then. So I bet you if I went back and listened to it now, I would love it because you have the same kind of bass mix on Moon Healer, and it didn't bother me one bit.
yeah, yeah.
Dude is
It's the
crushing it.
same lineup. If
It's
you
the
like
same
Sun
lineup.
Eater, it's that lineup. But if you're the guys that like the conversation I had on tour and at home with people, they're like, "Man, I just wanted to. I thought they were gonna go back to Doom." It's like none of those guys are in the band.
No, man.
None of
No. Oh
those
yeah.
writers are in the
Right.
band.
Right. You got your vocalist, and that's it. And I'm not sure
Yeah,
how much guitar playing he's doing. And with the level of guys they have now, I mean, that
yeah.
band is 1,000 times better than the
I think
Doom
I heard
era.
Tony wrote a lot too. Like the other guitar player that's not Al
Yeah.
wrote a lot more on this record, and I love those riffs. That record sounds awesome. That was in heavy rotation when that came out.
Yeah. Same here, man. And I feel like it had all the talent from Sun Eater, but had more of riff based structuring that
Mhm.
I kind of like a little what I wanted from them more. Like you were saying, like what do the fans want from this? What's it gonna be?
Yeah,
I actually got what I wanted out of that one. So
yeah.
that's why it survived my list.
And the drummer was Charn.
Yep. Yep. How long he's
Yeah.
been with the band for a long time? Like what? That
No, not
this
really. I mean, he doesn't.
I
He's
thought
been
he
with
was on
other bands.
Genesis. Yeah, I know he
Mm,
has.
was he?
I'm pretty sure he was. I think that like
I
right
think it
after that
was,
Doom
yeah.
EP, they got him.
But he hadn't been in the band for a long time either.
Right.
That's
Well,
why I
because they
knew he
didn't
was
do
gone
anything since 2015, right? Or are you
with
talking
them.
before
Was he
that?
on that record too? On Sun Eater? I don't think so. Was
You
he?
know what? Couldn't tell you again. I didn't get deep into that one. So
See, we got. He's checking right now.
Yeah, so it
nice.
looks like he hasn't been in the band since 2016.
Okay, so
And
he
But
then
hold
was on
on.
Sun Eater. Was he
Yeah,
on Sun
exactly.
Eater?
Yeah. So
Okay.
yeah.
so he was on from Genesis till Sun Eater, and then the band basically, I guess, hiatus for
Yeah. So he was.
9 years.
So he never was out of the band. He was, but
He was
the band wasn't
available.
doing anything. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because I know he's playing with a bunch of other guys. I mean, he's too good
Uh,
to not be playing.
Yeah, I
actually
saw him.
he was not on Sun Eater. It was Danny Walker.
There we go. See, I was
Oh,
gonna say
okay.
it's got to be different. That's why I was excited. I knew I was excited for something, but
Got you. Nice. All
Yeah,
right,
and I
but
guess
yeah,
Naveen is their session drummer, and then Mike Caputo is their touring drummer.
yeah. So Mike got the gig after.
got you.
Okay.
He just played their secret show in Virginia, I think. They
Mhm.
played some secret show somewhere for before Fest.
That's pretty
Yeah.
sick. Damn, I would
Yeah.
love to see that. See their little comeback secret show in a club, like a small club.
Yeah. Oh my God.
But I forgot about that. You reminded me. Yeah, Naveen. Yeah, yeah. Because
That's
him
right.
and Johnny Davy were in Flesh Rot together.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's right. Naveen is such a badass.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Jesus.
Do you listen to that record? Do you like it? That new job, Dustin?
Yeah, I liked it, but it's not on my list.
No. Yeah, when I
Yeah,
first
it's on
brought it
his
up,
list.
Fred, when I first brought it up, he was like, I'll be honest, I've never been a fan of them. And I was like, you're crazy.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I never got into them
Yeah,
that
okay.
much. They're always like passive, It's like, okay, like I know who they are, but I never like even when the Doom EP came out, like I wasn't even really into them back then either. I think it was just the name that always threw me off. But
Yeah, yeah.
I
I've
love the
come
name
around
now.
since. Like I listen to them, but I'm not like super into them.
I guess
Yeah,
we
I
got
did
lucky
enjoy that
because
album.
we played shows with them, and I saw them, and then I saw the lineup change, and then as they got musicians, I was like, "That's the guy from Despised. That's the
Mhm.
bassist from Cephalic." So I was like, I just was more into it, just seeing the people that were getting into the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, they went from a bunch of high school kids that, didn't really stick together for that long to like all-star lineup.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Let's see. What do I got next? All right. I got pretty sure is how you pronounce it. Atrabills. Spelled
Never heard of it.
Atrae. Atrabills. They are like, and their album's called Omnicide, and they are like this fucking insanely heavy, cavernous death metal band. I actually didn't even know they put out a new album. I saw them here in Chattanooga by happenstance, and their show is absolutely crushing. I mean, just chonky fucking rhythm riffs, man, like caveman riffs, like up and down. And so yeah, I checked them out before I went to the show, and then I was like, fuck, this album rules. And then I've just been listening to it like almost nonstop for the rest of the year.
Nice. Yeah, that's something we haven't brought up yet is like how seeing a live show, like with a new album fresh or about to come out or whatever can definitely change the hype for you.
Yeah. And
This
like I
time in a
was
good way.
and I was like kind of concerned because they were playing JJ's that I told you about
Oh
JJ's.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I was like, oh man, they're probably gonna say it in there, and like they did not. Like it actually sounded pretty damn decent. That's why I was kind of surprised. I was, Fuck, man, they actually sound really heavy right now.
Nice.
So, yeah, and my next pick is like in the same vein. So, I just there's something about that like chunky dissonant death metal that I'm just like I fucking love it.
Nice.
Pour it into my veins.
Got the king, man. I don't know if you guys are a fan of this guy, but you definitely know who he is. Devin Townsend, power
Oh
nerd.
yeah.
All
Hell yeah.
right.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Hell
Did you
yeah.
guys listen to this shit?
I did
I
not.
actually
It flew
haven't.
under my radar. Fuck.
That's one that like got by me.
Hmm.
Okay. Oh, dude. So another one came out on my birthday this year.
Okay.
Insane, dude. But anyways, dude, you guys are familiar with Devin Townsend.
Yeah, I'm a
I
fan.
Oh,
Oh
was,
yeah.
absolutely.
yeah. I wasn't a huge fan of Strapping Young Lad back in the day, but I was like a teenager back then. And then but I was a huge fan of Devin Townsend Project.
Hmm.
Huge fan. Uh
I wonder if the same thing happened to you that happened to me because that's that I got into Devin Townsend Project and then went
mhm,
backwards and was like, okay, I get it now.
that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Okay.
exactly it. Yeah, I actually
I
saw
was the
them like
opposite.
yeah, I saw Strapping Young Lad when I was like 14 at Sounds the Underground 2005
God
and
damn.
saw him with the skullet and everything and I was just like what the fuck is this? But so I didn't really care about it then, but then I think I saw him like torn with Between the Buried and Me when I was in my early 20s and I was like what the fuck is this? Like I had the same reaction but opposite, I guess. Anyway, so like if you know Devin Townsend, he's always got like his silly side or whatever.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
his
Project
last
Ziltoid.
exactly, yeah. So the last couple things that he's put out, like since it stopped being Devin Townsend Project and it's just Devin Townsend again, like he had like that synthy album or whatever, and it's like that stuff's cool. And then I think he had one that had like a more of a mix of like synthy and metal. Um, this time it really felt like he was back to being DTP Devin Townsend. Like first song, Power Nerd, is silly, but it's badass. It's a cool ass song. Dude's an incredible songwriter. But the very next song, it gets to like exactly what I liked about like the last couple Devin Townsend Project records. Like if you guys listen to that one Transcendence from like 2016 or whatever, it's the last Devin Townsend project.
Yeah.
This straight pulled out of that. Like could have been on that album. He's even got the chick Annika von Giersberger like does a little part on there, and so like, brought her back. And the rest of the album is just really cool, epic Devin Townsend stuff. Maybe not as heavy as the shit from DTP, but like he's even got a song in there that's kind of like I was listening to it in the truck going to Thanksgiving with my wife, and she was just like, I feel like this is like a gospel song or whatever, but it's heavy. And Devin Townsend with his vocals and his synths and stuff is definitely capable of doing that. And also, he's the fucking production god. I'm not even sure how much help he gets with that shit. I think he's just extremely obsessed with what he does and kind
Yeah.
of a pioneer of like production. And I mean, I remember seeing videos of him like early 2000s already using Axe Effects, already like mastered Pro Tools, like, and this is like the YouTube videos that they were taking on just like a shitty digital camera. Like if you were to pull them up on YouTube now, it's like, quality's
Super grainy.
complete shit. Yeah. But the records that he was doing from his house by himself,
Yeah.
were top tier, still hold up today, like production wise. So, and then of course at the very end of the album, I'm gonna go ahead and spoil it for you. He does his silly ass song where it's just like a folk song about how much he loves coffee.
Hell yeah.
I love that.
Couldn't help himself.
Yeah, I remember seeing stuff when it was like announced, and then I just kind of forgot about it, or registered that it even came out. Just like, I, yeah, I'll see that eventually when it comes out, and like,
Definitely check it out.
never saw anything. because I do
Yeah,
love Devin Townsend,
the
man.
name Power Nerd when I first saw it, I was like, okay, it's never gonna be like it was, you know, 8 years ago or 10 years ago. But nah, man, he still got it.
Oh yeah, I find his like way of writing so fascinating too, since he has that like synesthesia or whatever. Um,
Yeah, no, he's the
yeah,
shit.
he's
I think he's just a brilliant, brilliant dude. I heard he writes a song a day. Imagine like picking through that to be like, this one's going on the record, you know,
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I'm lucky if I can learn a
365
song a
songs.
week.
Dude, yeah, I'm not writing a song a week, you know. Maybe
Mhm.
I should,
But
but
I'm saying even learn a song a week.
oh right, yeah. Yeah, it
Mhm.
takes me
yep.
a week to get a song down, and I mean, I got to be really putting in
Yeah,
time
yeah.
on it, you know.
All right, Devin Townsend. Okay,
As if I don't download it, I forget. That's what that happened. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna listen to that tomorrow, and I did it. And now I'm gonna do the same thing now. It's like I gotta add that.
Oh yeah, definitely put that one in, man.
Mhm.
All right, what you
all
got?
right. My next one is this band called Teeth. Uh, not to be confused with another Teeth that is a supergroup. Funny enough, with members of Every Time I Die and like Norman, some other bands like that. They are again like a cavernous death metal band. They're from California. Some of their members used to be in this band called Our Place of Worship is Silence, which is also very like cavernous death metal shit. And like an album in 2021, I want to say. So it's been a few years. I could be wrong about that date. And yeah, I saw they were gearing up to put this record out, and they put out a single, and then that was kind of it until the record came out. And Jesus, man, this thing is so fucking heavy. Again, it's just like trudging, chunky death metal riffs with like, that kind of like really the vocals sound like they were Hall, like that kind of death metal vocals.
Yes.
But it just works, man. I don't know. It's something about it that just it just it feels like it's in my soul.
Oh yeah, dude. I know how you feel.
Yeah. And like I said, like those two albums side actually came out really early in the year. It came out in about February. I didn't see At Your Bills until like for like May or June ish, I would say, somewhere in the summer. And then the Teeth record didn't even come out till so it's like there was like some time between them, but they both that box of what I wanted from each of them. And they
Nice.
thing is like those two bands don't sound the same, but just kind of like I don't know how to explain it, man. They just have like that fucking crushing death metal sound that I want. Good
They hit in
guitar
the Venn
tones.
diagram.
You can just hear like every time they're like into like another pattern, just hear that string, the fingers on the strings like hit the riff.
Yeah,
Oh
that
Oh,
yeah.
wipe, that slide
yeah,
wipe.
love it.
That shit can be so effective in heavy music and little subtle
Oh,
things like that.
yeah. I fucking love it. That's probably
Hell
my
yeah.
favorite part about it is just hearing that. But yeah, that's my next pick for that one. Number seven.
Nice.
It's
You
called
sold me on
Lilith
these two
Hate.
bands. I'm like, I want to hear these. I'd never heard of these bands
They're
before.
fucking heavy, man. Like
Yeah.
no joke. Like their
You've always
guitar
got
tone. I
something.
I want to figure out how to get that guitar tone. That's what I want.
Yeah, it's a pod XT, dude. Or no, it's a little line six pod. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
there it is.
sometimes it is, man.
Yeah.
That I forget what it was, but I heard about some record where that's how they did it. And it
Mhm.
ended up being like a tone that maybe it was like Wage War or something, like a huge band. And it was
Hmm.
like someone was talking about it was a producer saying like, yeah, bands always come in like asking how did we get this sound? How did we get this sound? And he's like, here it is. You know, they're trying to mimic it with their X 3 and whatnot, you know.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty sick. All right, you ready for
All
the
right.
next one?
Yeah.
Oh
What do
yeah.
you got? What do you got?
All right, dude. This one survived the early list, dude. This
Hmm.
is and I've got it in the middle of the list here, but don't pay attention to the order of everything because this is still kind of top five or whatever. I think this is at number six, but anyways, disregard that. Aborted Vault of Horrors.
Mm.
Yes.
Yes, killer, killer,
Oh
killer
yeah.
record.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is one that, as it was getting ready to come out, I think at the time all they had out was like Death Cult and Dreadbringer, and I
Hmm.
got to see them live, and I was honestly there to see Alluvial, and it was them and it was Alluvial, and then Aborted was after them, I think, and then no, Carcosa was after them, then Aborted, and then
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah,
Archspire
yeah. Archspire's tour.
was
Yeah, yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Fantastic tour, by
yeah,
the
yeah.
way. But yeah, I'm a huge Alluvial fan, huge West Hawk fan, so I was there. Like
Mhm.
that's as long as I got to see that, I was cool. But when
Yeah,
Aborted came on, I was like, oh, this might be the best fucking band of the night.
yeah,
After the
yeah.
first song. I mean, the stage presence and the production of the show, how well those motherfuckers play,
Oh yeah.
um, got me super hyped for that record. So still in my rotation, still listening to Death
Mhm.
Cult and Dreadbringer. I mean, weekly
Yeah,
almost.
yeah. Here's the difference with that record versus the other records. I
Hmm.
was told by the guys in the band that Dan Conradson wrote most, if not the whole record. He's
Oh
Okay.
their guitar
shit.
player from Iceland, and I don't know if he
Yeah.
was on the previous material, but he's the one that's responsible for that one. And then do you guys follow that guy on Twitch or the streamer, the Nick Nocturnal guy?
I don't follow him,
I,
but I mean,
I,
You guys
I
know of
know
him,
who you're
right? He
talking
did it
about.
last
yeah,
year. The
Of
yeah.
course, yeah.
big metal. He's trying to do the. I should say he's trying, but he did it last year, and then this year he brought it back. The metal awards.
Yeah.
Yep. I've been seeing it.
He's one of the guys on the list for nominee for best guitar player of the year because of
Nice.
that. Because of that record. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's crushing it all
Oh
over
yeah,
the place. Yeah, yeah. I mean, and they sell the guitar tabs on
yeah,
sheethappens.com.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and one of my buddies bought it, and he was just like, "Dude, you're not gonna love this shit when you see it because it's fucking insane." But I'm
No, they
definitely gonna
fucking
get a
rip.
hold of that. Yeah, they're fucking insane. I would love to get those tabs, and even if I don't get to play it at full speed, dude, I'll play it at 3/4 speed.
Mhm.
It's badass shit. But yeah, we don't have to
Band,
spend too much time on that, but
right. I just feel easy that like even switching guitar players like that, that band can still maintain that consistency and sound almost identical to everything that they've done before. And like every record sounds the same. I just mean like their writing style. It's like,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah,
this is a fucking aborted song when you hear
yeah.
it, kind of deal.
I mean, the rest of the guys are still
Um,
on it. Yeah, it's still Ken, it's still Ian, it's still Sven. But
well, didn't like Mendel write a bunch of their shit on the
that's what I'm
past
saying.
two
That's the
records?
guy he replaced. Yeah, Mendel.
Yeah.
That Dan replaced Mendel. Yeah.
man, replacing your like main songwriter guitar players got to be crazy, you know?
Yeah.
And then still evolving like that
Mhm.
and pleasing the fans, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they're consistent, man. I don't think they've ever put out a bad record, in my opinion.
I mean, if you ask
Uh,
them, they'll tell you they don't like one record in particular.
I bet I can guess which one it is.
I know you know it.
Yeah,
Nice.
that's when everybody was trying to do the thing, you know? It's like I was talking to Matt about the same thing with his first record, and he was like, "Yeah, tried doing the deathcore thing," and
Yep.
That's funny.
so that's actually really funny because my next pick is actually one of my other holdovers. It's the Boundaries record, Death is a Little
Nice.
More.
Nice.
Actually, one of my top bands on my so
Hmm.
makes that's my number five. I still think the record's great. I did stop listening to it a little less as the year went on, but every now and then I'll go through a track or two and I'll be like, oh fuck,
It
need to
almost
listen to
made my
this.
list, dude. Yeah, it was on my list last time, and it almost made the final
Yeah.
list because that was a damn good record. But yeah, I haven't listened to it much since this summer, really.
And I'm really bummed out. I did not get to go see them when they were here because I came down with COVID and I was
Oof.
dying basically. So I missed
Damn.
that show.
Come on, man. You should have just toughed it out. Went to a
Yeah.
packed show.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
Pretty
it would have got
fucked
rid
up.
of my fever a lot quicker just
Mhm.
sweating next to everybody,
Yeah, just giving
spreading.
it to everyone else. Yeah.
Mhm. It depends because you might get the one that's more contagious and it doesn't kick your ass, or you get the one that's not as contagious but it kicks your ass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
mine was pretty bad, man. I was out for like a week just fevering it up. It was fun.
Damn. Yeah, that shit sucks.
At least you got to listen to
You
the record through it though.
true. Yeah.
That's right.
But yeah, that's, we talked about that one last time, so we don't need to go too in depth. So I'll pass it back to you.
All right, man. Got the first EP for the list right here. Counterparts, Heaven Let Them Die. Pretty recent. When did this come out? Like a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
Um, yeah. So this, it's extremely heavy, I'll say, but also which they always are, but this one I feel like they leaned into the heavy a lot more.
Hmm.
Um, I could be wrong about this, but a friend of mine was telling me that they went back to like their original guitar player or something and got rid of the guy that they've had for the last like 6, 7 years or so. So it's
How
Yeah, Manny
long?
missing.
Manny quit or got fired. I don't remember, but yeah,
Okay,
Manny he was in 100th for a long time, and then he joined them, and then yeah, he left.
got you. Okay, so yeah, I wasn't following the band that much, even though I am a fan of them and I have been listening to them for the last 10 years or so, or probably maybe a little less. Uh, uh, so it's missing a little bit of that like melodic guitar
His name's
leads.
not Manny, it's Blake. His nickname is Manny. His name's Blake. So yeah,
Got
Blake
you.
left,
Okay.
and then the other guy
Okay.
came back.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess when that guy left, they kind of aren't doing this kind of like cool melodic guitar lead thing. That was kind of like what made them a little more like metal than hardcore, in my opinion. That was something that would kind of set them apart from bands that I think that they tour with a lot. And I loved that about their sound. So it's missing that. And I still love this record though, because the within the heaviness, they have like these clean, like chorded like intros and outros and stuff that really do kind of get you in that it keeps the same feeling that I get from the old stuff. When I think of counterparts, I think of like it's very emotional shit.
Hmm.
Like it's a great band for like when you're going through a bad time, you can drive around at night listening to it, cranking it because it has that emotional grab, but it's heavy as fuck, so you don't feel like a pussy, like they've kind of mastered this kind of like very emotional, almost, sad guy, but also very fucking tough and badass. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, loved it. I love how short it is. It's kind of they at first I kind of felt like a lot of the songs kind of sounded the same, but because it's only the 5 songs and the last song's only like a minute long and it's pretty much just a clean outro or whatever, um, you don't have enough time with it to get tired of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So yeah, do you guys listen to this one?
Yeah. So that's actually one of my EPs on my EP list. So,
Nice. I figured that would be one.
yeah, I fucking love this band so much, and it's we were saying a lot of the lyrical content, uh,
Yep.
and then they just have that raw kind of anger with the music.
Hmm.
The fucking breakdowns. I mean, it's funny you say it's short because I was like, man, I feel like all their albums are short, but it's really just my favorite album. You're Not You Anymore. That album's only
Great
like
one.
27 minutes long, and then this EP is like 16 minutes. So it's
Right.
like, man, and then everything else is like 36, 40 minutes, whatever. But that's the thing I like about them a lot is their albums never feel like they outstay their welcome. Like they may be
Right.
long, but they don't feel long.
Hmm.
And just all that and like songwriting and the melodic aspects, it just kind of like, man, they just do such a good job of everything, like blending all that stuff together. And yeah, I didn't even know they were working on music. And again, this was like a surprise EP. They were like, here
It
you
was a
go.
surprise EP. Yep.
Yeah,
Love it,
I
man.
love
And
that.
they're a band with enough hype and enough like loyal fan base that hell yeah, they can get away with that shit.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, so yeah, I've been listening to that like pretty much nonstop
Nice,
since it
nice.
came
Yeah,
out because I love them.
it definitely, yeah, in my rotation. And it's not like because of 1 or 2 songs, like, and because it's 16 minutes, I can be driving to work and I can listen to that whole thing and other shit, which is
Yeah.
nice.
All
All
right.
right.
So funny enough, my next one, I actually left it off of my list, even though I really wanted to put it on there last time. Because I felt like it was a little bit favoritism since I had the members on the podcast, but also I didn't have enough time to like really listen to it, even though I did listen to it before they came on. But it's Thou Umbilical.
Okay.
I mean, crushing melodic doom metal. It's the
Nice.
only way I can like explain it. But
Melodic doom metal. Interesting.
yeah, man, not like funeral doom, where they kind of play like those leads and stuff over everything. It's just like they have moments where there's melody kind of around with the crushing, just like fucking chug. You know how doom metal is just slow fucking riffs.
Mhm.
But then it's Brian's vocals that are just so raw sounding they're just like hot way. It's just like it's this man screaming at you like his life fucking depends on it versus
Love it.
like low music, and it's like the juxtaposition of those things really made this is what always has made the band work in my opinion, but somehow, man, they just like they never miss. I mean, their last album that came out too, back in like 2022 or something like that. Um, Same thing, the Magus. Jesus Christ, that album's fucking incredible. And just their songwriting capabilities of like how long they make the songs and they never feel exhausted or like they've outstayed their welcome, even though they're like 11-minute songs or whatever. There's enough variety within that that it just feels like, oh, maybe I'm listening to another song when really it's the same song.
That
It's
yeah,
just
that shit's
heavy.
very hard to pull off. Yeah.
I know, man. That's the thing that gets me about them is like it just you never really feel bored. Even if they are like maybe trudging on the same riff for, like a minute or two, it's just like they're eventually going to go to in that song. Um and yeah, they're just like they're a band that's always been very, very DIY in everything that they do, and I've always appreciated that about on some big label. They self-produce everything. They still put out their own vinyl, like do all their own tours, like so it's just that ethos that I'm like, you know, these guys feel like the heart of the underground to me, in my
Yeah, dude.
opinion.
Gotta respect that shit.
Yeah, and like yeah, just the collaborations they do with like they did a whole record with Emma Ruth Rundle and The Body and all these people, and man, I just
Show
love
me
that
there.
they
I love
can
the
do that.
body.
Yeah, oh my God, seriously. So it's yeah, I mean that's I left it off last time even though I really was enjoying what I was listening to so far, and I just didn't want to be like favoritism with it, but I
Right.
couldn't help it, man, because I listened to the album a lot and it was really good. So uh, I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna put it back on my list. If y'all want to roast me, that's fine. Favoritism,
All
But even
good,
if it
dude.
is, you're listening to it. You didn't just put it on
right?
there because you listened to it once. It's been in heavy rotation. So
Yeah,
Right.
and they're a band that I've listened to for years, so it's not even like just because I had them on the podcast I like it more. It's just like I've always really, really enjoyed this band. So yeah, that's my number four pick.
I think it's just a little special bonus that you had them on the podcast then.
Right, right. Yeah, because I mean, they could have said no.
Right.
All right, what do you got next?
All right. Blood Incantation, Absolute Elsewhere, you guys. You guys
oh
heard
yeah,
about it.
hell yeah, hell yeah,
Dude,
dude.
this is a record that took me a little while to get into. I mentioned earlier, my buddies in the international death metal group text, they are all crazy about this record. And whenever they would always, post it in the group chat. Basically, that group chat is just us talking about metal and sending each other songs and stuff. A lot of these things I
Hey, go
got.
check this out.
Yeah, exactly. Like something new comes up, they're like, "Oh shit, y'all hear this?" So, anyways, they were crazy about this record, and I put it on and I start hearing it. And I'm kind of like, old school death metal riffs, and
Mhm.
I'm kind of more. I like nice, like good production on my death metal stuff,
Yeah.
which makes me feel like a pussy saying that out loud. But
No, but I know there's a member of my band that's exactly like that. If it's not good production, he's not going to listen to it. And then I'm
right.
like, you're gonna miss out on some of the sickest riffs.
Hmm.
But I get it.
Yeah, and this record, it's not that it has bad production because it has great production.
Mhm.
But when they do the old school death metal thing, it's almost like the shitty production while you're doing the old school death metal is kind of part of the sound
Mhm.
or
Hmm.
like staying true to kind of what they're doing. Um, until you get a couple minutes into the song and then it's motherfucking Pink Floyd, dude.
Yep.
Uh, they, it's crazy how dramatic or how drastic they can go from the death metal stuff to the progressive stuff. Because it's not like, okay, one of my favorite bands, Rivers of Nile,
Mhm.
they're very, very good at doing this, but they don't always do that kind of harsh contrast. Like they'll have some, heavy parts with singing on it already and
Mhm.
kind of transitioned you into these things. Blood Incantation, I mean, sounds like an 80s death metal band
Mhm.
until you get to these parts. So it took me a little bit to get into it. And as I start to kind of learn about it more, like the fact that it's broken up into two parts. You have three songs uh, of like the Stargate, and like each one is called like Tablet One, Tablet Two, Tablet Three. It's like I love how much thought was put into this shit. Tangerine Dream was on it,
Hmm.
uh, which I didn't even like. How the fuck did that even happen?
Yeah,
It
right.
fits perfect, but it's like, how did that end up with Blood Incantation? You know? But and there's something weird about this band too, is like they are so extreme, but I think that they've gotten a lot of like big popularity from this record that I wouldn't expect, from a band like this. Like there's people at like my job that I didn't even know listened to metal that were like, "Did you check this out?" And they'll show me, and it's absolute elsewhere. And I'm like, "No shit, you're talking about that album?" Like my friends are trying to get me to listen to that album. And when I finally did, when I finally started to get it, uh, now I'm a huge fan. They were just here in Atlanta a couple weeks ago, and I didn't get to see them, but they were the headliner, and it was packed.
Damn.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's good to hear.
yeah. So
I
yeah,
think
you guys listen to that one?
I think I still don't understand the album because I hated it.
Really?
Oh
Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
man.
I was
Well,
like, oh, they just wrote a Pink Floyd album, put death metal riffs around it.
that's what kind of, well, at first I kind of thought that too, but as I heard the Pink Floyd parts, I'm like, I know I could get into this.
Yeah.
I know I could get into this. And eventually I
It
did.
doesn't sound forced either. That's what I was
No,
worried about. So
right.
I think it's just too jarring for me. I don't know. Plus, I've never really been into them in general, to be honest. Like, I like the first album that they did. I wasn't stoked for this one when I knew it was coming out. I was just kind of like, I guess I'll check it out, just to do my due diligence. Um, yeah, it didn't really resonate with me, so I just kind of like was like, move along.
they weren't on the
That's how
podcast. He's biased. I'm just kidding.
that's what it is. Yeah, watch. Yeah, next year he'll be like, "Man, no, we're having Blood Incantation. Really love this record."
No, I would be honest with them and be like, hey man, I don't get what you guys are doing, but I want to know more about it.
I do want to see it live though. I've never seen him live.
Yeah, I'd love to
Yeah.
see it live now.
See how that translates.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Maybe it's just one of those things that like I guess like from like again, I don't know what they were doing when they were writing everything, but it just seemed like perspective, it was like right on a lane of what they were trying to write, and so they just mished the two and like kind of went with it. But who
I could
knows?
see
Maybe
why
that
you
was
would say that, but I mean,
yeah,
the fact that they have the Stargate 1, 2, and 3, like I feel
right.
like there's a lot more thought put into this than that. But yes, at first listen, I could I kind of felt the same way, you
Yeah,
know. But now like getting the whole record and digesting it, um, so much good shit in there, man.
it's fair.
Yep.
I guess I'm a contrarian tonight.
That's all good, dude. That's why this is fun, because we get to hear three guys' opinions and
And I
things you
just
hadn't
need
heard about.
listeners to know this is not me shitting on Blood Incantation. I don't think they're bad or anything like that. I see and understand the musicianship. Like I know
Mhm.
writing those spacey Pink Floyd kind of leads is fucking insane. Like um it just didn't work for me. That's all.
Yeah.
Not saying they're bad. Okay, so my next one is a holdover from our last one, so we don't spend a ton of time on it, but that is
Yeah.
Vitriol Suffer and Become,
Nice.
crushing crushing album. I
I forgot
mean,
that came out this year. I thought that was last year for some reason.
you
It's been a
guys
long
toured
year,
with
man.
them.
Yeah, that's why.
Okay. I think I saw them when you guys were on. You're talking about the Chaos and Carnage tour.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
Yeah. So since that tour didn't come to Atlanta, Rivers and Nile did a headliner in Atlanta on an off day. I
To
think you
get
guys were
home,
like,
yeah.
yeah, and that's when I saw. That's when I heard Vitriol for the first time,
Oh yeah.
and walked in not knowing who they were, and blew me away. Went and bought a
Wait, they
T-shirt
played
and
that
all that.
show?
Yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah.
them. Face Yourself, maybe.
Yeah, because they're from New York. It makes sense. But it's funny to
Okay.
me that Vitriol would be driving east when they're from the Pacific Northwest, unless they're not all from the Pacific Northwest. I don't know.
It
Okay.
was
Yeah.
that off day in between where we met up
Oh,
with you in Atlanta. Or I mean Nashville.
oh, that's right. Okay, okay. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
we didn't have a show, but everyone else did, or
Right.
they did. Oh, okay, okay, okay.
Yeah,
That makes
just
more
them.
sense.
Yeah, I think most of the
Yeah,
tour,
yeah,
you guys had the day off, but yeah, I think like three or four bands,
yeah. They've been
Rivers
sick.
and Isle and them.
That
Um,
drummer's insane.
oh hell yeah, oh yeah, badass guitar
Yeah,
playing too,
it
and
sucks
bass
whatever
playing.
happened with next tour where they're just like a two piece now.
I
That's how they're
saw that.
touring.
I
It's like
Yeah,
saw
their
that.
bassist
fuck,
just quit,
dude.
right?
Yeah. It's fucking
Yeah, he was the other
crazy.
vocalist too. Yeah. Damn.
Yeah, yeah, he was doing a lot of vocals when I saw him live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
But
All right.
but they're back on the road though, so I guess they
Mhm.
got some hired guns at least, keep it moving.
Uh, Kyle said that they were playing as a two piece.
Okay.
So I don't know how that's working unless they're just using backing tracks. But
They don't seem like a
whatever.
band who would do that, but I don't know.
Uh,
Maybe they are.
right? Especially with his fucking massive pedal board.
Mhm.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I felt like when I saw them, I was like, this is fucking raw, real shit.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah,
No
I don't
How
know,
was the
man.
record?
monitors or any of that shit.
What grabbed
How's
you
the
about
what?
the record?
Oh man. I mean, it's fucking angry. And then not only that, there's that one song that they actually played live that I did not expect, where it's just like it is all clean guitar, but he's
Yep, yep,
playing
yep.
death metal riffs. And then it just out of nowhere goes into this fucking insane death metal song. That song is beautiful. I mean, I don't know how to explain it other than that. It's just like the way he wrote that song to be all that clean guitar, which is not something you hear too much in death metal, and it
Mhm.
still sounds fucking nasty and angry. And then going into the actual part of the song like that, I was like, fuck, man. How does this guy do that? And his playing is just so unique too, like the way he
Yeah.
plays.
He's killer.
Yep. Yeah,
Nice.
that's my number three.
Damn.
All right. What do I got? Okay. All right. This is one that didn't realize they were, or I guess I knew they were putting out another record, but because these two insane guitar players are kind of busy playing with all these other bands, I didn't think that this was going to be happening. But Interloper, A Forgotten Loss. You guys are familiar with
Yep.
Interloper?
Oh yeah.
I've heard of them, but I've never
Yeah.
checked them out.
Okay, two absolutely insane guitar players. Miles DeBeatrice Baker, who I think is playing with Ice Nine Kills right now, has been opening
Yeah,
for
yeah.
Metallica all year.
He
Wow.
uh he cut his teeth early on with Rings of Saturn. He filled in
Mhm.
for us when we lost our early guitar player.
Oh, nice. You
And
played
then
with him.
he had another gig. He was which is funny because you're going to mention the other guitar player.
Yep.
He filled in for Ingested, and then
Hmm.
when he got the Einstein gig, he
The other
pitched
guy
Andrew.
did.
He pitched Andrew. So
Okay,
now
that makes
Andrew's
sense.
playing for Ingested. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
So, yeah, Andrew Virueta, also badass. He does most of the vocals on the Interloper record.
That's what I thought was cool about that record because before they had a standalone vocalist. And
Hmm.
so then I
Hmm.
think this one, and I don't know if they did a single or an EP before, but yeah, Andrew picked up doing the vocals as on his own. So they're a three piece.
Dude, yeah, and
Damn.
I love his vocals.
Yeah.
His clean singing, screaming. He's got a couple different screams that he likes to do, all while playing, insane guitar shit. And kind of
Yeah.
when I first got into them, it was like they were really showcasing the guitar shredding, which I love. It's a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
like kind of melodic, fast, technical shit. This one they kind of went more for heavy without being, while still showcasing what they can do. It's a lot of like kind of that cool like Gojira galloping stuff
Mhm.
with maybe like a very simple lead over it that still adds like so much to the song. Um, they were releasing a couple singles for this, but I guess it kind of gotten out of my mind that this record would be coming out. But yeah, dude, these guys are insanely good. The whole thing front to back, it never really gets to that point where it's like old, like shredding melodic. It kind of stays in the we're trying to be more not digestible, because I don't want to make it sound like they're trying to simplify too much for dummies who can't get crazy metal. But dudes are just extremely talented. Like even when they're writing like their
Yeah.
simple stuff, it's insane.
They're not writing to just shred, but they're doing the structuring in a way that's digestible, but not
Right.
like to be easily consumed. But it was just kind of like,
Right.
hey, we know we have to write catchy songs, so
Yeah, yeah. All right, I'll explain it like this. Like, when you'll find a band like Interloper or like a band like Archspire, guys like us, we're used to hearing that kind of stuff. But you show it to someone who listens to kind of more mainstream type metal, they'll go, this you almost always hear this. Now there's just a lot going on.
yeah, yeah,
It's like
yeah.
I think they kind of dropped the it's a lot going on for
Yeah,
this
yeah,
record, and
yeah.
it paid off, man. It's really, really good shit.
I feel like I remember my buddy Weatherford showing me these guys like years ago.
But it was
Because the
different.
name's
What you heard then doesn't sound what it sounds
right.
like
Right.
now.
Right.
Yeah.
That
They
makes
got
sense.
they got some of the gratuitous shred out of their system, and they finally, with Andrew picking up the vocals, they finally picked their sound because before the other vocalist that they had was kind of like that commercial feel where it's like the guy who can sing metalcore clean vocals
Hmm.
with a little bit of heavy screaming, but then it wasn't it's gonna sound mean, but it wasn't generic sounding. But you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like
Mhm.
standing out.
Right.
And then
Right.
since it's Andrew's voice, it stands out a little bit more because it's unique to him. No one else, he doesn't sound like those other, like just a cliche style of the vocals.
Right. Also, I saw Andrew when I saw Entheos.
That's right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
Yeah,
was in there.
he
He's
was
running for
playing
them
with them,
too.
and he was doing backup vocals for them too,
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
crushing it.
He's in it now. That's right.
He's in it
Because
right now. Okay.
it was Rob and Brian Deebs,
Hmm.
and then now it's him. And I think I can't pronounce the name. It's either Allegion or Aegeon. It's one of those guitarists.
Okay.
Oh, Allegion.
Yeah, yeah. One of those
Yeah,
guys is in Entheos now
Nice.
that's fucking crazy.
with Andrew. Yeah, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And by the way, that lineup is stacked. The Entheos lineup right now.
Oh yeah.
But I don't think they have a bass player. I think they're going no bass. At least
They have
when I
Evan
saw
Brewer,
them.
but he doesn't tour.
Right. Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you still hear him on the track.
Hmm. Yep. Legendary.
Oh yeah. He's got a kid. He's got to be a dad.
Hey, I get it, man. I get it. All right. What you got next?
All right, so this one actually should have been on my list 6 months ago. I actually, for
Okay.
some reason, forgot about it when I was putting it together. I don't know why or how, especially considering it's my number two pick.
I was about to say it's gotten this far down the list too.
I know, dude. It's stupid I forgot about it, but it's this band and their album Shame.
Hmm. Okay.
Kind of along the vein of like Thou, just like crushing doom metal, like chunky ass riffs.
We've got a
You
theme
haven't
here.
noticed there's a theme, yeah. Just chunky. I like
Crushing.
chunky riffs,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah. Love it.
Um, and again, it's like the vocalist Seb has just this screeching vocal style that like it sounds just in juxtaposition to how heavy everything is. But the writes about is, pretty I mean, it's kind of sad stuff, like we were mentioning with counterparts, but it's also just stuff about like dealing with life and addiction, all these real world things. And I think I kind of gravitated to that too. Um, and then you see the band in their promo pictures, and it's all them just wearing like really nice clothes in a field of flowers, smiling, and it doesn't fit with what they play musically.
Nice.
And so again, they're kind of playing around with like, cliches of what a metal band should look like versus like what they look like. Like, um, and it's just raw, again, it's just really raw. But I mean, just that opening fucking track right off the bat is just fucking chun, chun, some melodic lead come in, and then the drums are just fucking pounding away too with each little like jun jun of the guitar, and vocals will come in, and it's just like this fucking hell screech. Like, oh my God, have I entered the realm of hell? Um, and it's
Nice.
just fucking heavy, man. It's relentless. This album is absolutely fucking relentless. And I'll go and get this one out of the way. They did an EP with See You Next Tuesday that came out a couple months ago, or yeah, a couple months ago, month ago. I don't know. They were on the podcast, come and talk about that EP. And again, all the stuff they did for that EP is teaching, and just collaborating with that band too is just like a match made in heaven. I mean, it just works so well. So that's on my EP list, the Asymmetrics EP. Fucking love both
Nice.
those bands.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
So I got my EP, my one of my other EPs out of the way. What do you got?
I got an EP. Here it comes,
Fuck
baby.
yeah.
One of my favorite bands, Silosis, The Path.
Mm,
Uh, this was a surprise EP. Um, this one, it seems like in the beginning that they were kind of going for the heavier side of themselves. And I don't know if you guys have kept up with Silosis over the years, but they kind of, when I first got into them, and their albums Edge of the Earth and Monolith, they would have this kind of like this epic Master of Puppets kind of element to their records. If you know what I mean, like when Metallica would get into like the middle of Master of Puppets and shit, and I don't know, they had this very would remind me of old Metallica a lot, but not
mm,
because of their vocals or anything like that. It's just everything was written in E standard. still heavy as fuck though. Like somehow he does those chords where those power chords where you hit the same fret on the bottom two strings,
Yeah.
but in standard, and it just sounds nasty as hell. He's like a master of that shit. So later on with this last record that they put out a year ago, A Sign of Things to Come, they've kind of moved away from that, and they're kind of doing their yeah, I don't know, just trying to bring in a new phase of Silosis. And they're still doing that with the Path, but I think they kind of re-grabbed me because I wasn't crazy about the album that came out last year because they weren't doing some of that epic shit that I grew up loving or whatever, or over the last 10 years. Um, but I don't know, like their new sound now that it's starting to get refined. I'm getting what they're doing. I went back and listened to that record and I love it even more now. Uh,
I wonder if touring and writing with architects may have been like a
right.
byproduct
So,
of that on that
yep.
first record that you're talking about.
Right. Okay. And that's a good point because, yeah, Silas was on hiatus for a while because Josh went and played with Architects for a couple years and
Hmm.
did a couple records with them. And I know that he was a big contributor to the songs they were putting out then, which was definitely a lot different than Silosis. So I guess when he came back, I guess mixing the two probably did kind of make that mixture or whatever. But yeah, the first song on there, straight heavy. Another reason I went to go check out that band Harriet is that chick that I was talking about at the beginning of this podcast. She features on the first song.
Oh,
And
wow.
I saw that and I was like, oh shit, okay, that's the girl from the Jackson Guitars video. Like, I need to go check out that record. Um, but she kills it. He does get into some of the epic Metallica stuff, church bells and shit on this EP, which you didn't really, like I said, you didn't really hear much of that in the record before. So, uh, this is one of those that I listened to it 10 times a week when it first came out.
Damn.
Killer record. Did you guys listen to it? Dustin, I know you listened to it and you had one thing you wanted to tell me about it. If you do you remember what I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, I definitely listened to it and it definitely like reminded me of like a lot of early like um oh God, what did I say? I don't know. It was
All you
so,
told me is that you're like, yeah, it's great, but I just don't like the vocals. I
yeah,
was like,
yeah, yeah.
come
No,
on,
I
dude.
didn't like the vocals.
Josh is a killer vocalist, in my opinion. I
Um,
love the way he sounds, man.
you know what's funny though? I for some reason and like these be I used to weirdly get them confused with Scar Symmetry.
Okay.
I don't know
Sound
why. I don't
wise?
know why.
Sound wise?
No, 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 just like the name.
Oh. Oh, okay,
I
okay,
always
okay.
be like, oh, oh, no, 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 that's Silosis. Like,
'Cause I
I
listened
think
to
it's
both. I
just
was like,
the
no, they don't sound alike at all. No,
right.
no.
I think it's just the S and the Y. I don't know. My brain sometimes just fucking work ever. Um, but yeah, the vocals weren't. I'm not really. I don't like them. I don't know. But the playing was fantastic. The guitar tone was incredible. I love a good
Oh yeah,
guitar
he's a
tone.
tone master, man.
I feel bad because
Yeah.
I haven't listened to any of this stuff since he's been back, and I
Oh
really
Oh,
really?
need to. Yeah, I haven't heard it. Like I knew they were back, and I was excited, and then I never got around to it, and I was like, I'm fucking up.
Dude, if I were you, I would start with this EP. I mean,
Okay.
it's only like 20 minutes long or something. I
Yeah.
think it's 5 songs, but even the last song, super epic and great, clean singing, great screaming, badass solo. But he has one of those solos where it kind of it's not for shredding, it's for accenting the song, and it's like
Yeah, yeah. I
you
love
know, when
that
a
shit.
band will have like a chorus part where eventually, like later on, they'll get to the solo, and the solo kind of mimics the melody from the chorus.
Yeah. It's a
mhm.
But
lead. It's not
it's
just
a
a solo, just a
but it,
lead
but it's
melody.
but it's a break just for that, and it's
Yeah.
a lead all by itself.
I like it.
Like it
Yeah.
is, man, so fucking good, man, and a great way to end that record.
Fuck yeah. No, it's on my list. I'm gonna listen to it.
Nice, nice.
Just because I don't want people to roast us in the comments. The woman's name from Harriet is Debbie Goff.
Yes, all right. I meant to put that in my notes because I was
Good
like, damn,
looking
what is
out.
her name?
It's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Good looking
I just
out.
didn't want to. I
That
didn't
chick, that
Yeah.
chick.
want to be
That's all
like,
we keep
yeah, yeah,
saying. I look like a fucking idiot.
Debbie.
Nice.
Did you say
Uh,
goth?
Goff,
Goth. Yeah,
Gough.
goth.
Like, yeah, yeah,
Oh yeah. Okay. 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 That's the one that has not crossed my radar.
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah. Definitely check that one out too, man.
Oh,
Check
I'm
out
definitely going to.
if you're watching this, check out all of them.
Mhm.
Yes, I agree. Everybody should take the time to at least listen if you've never heard of them. Just one song, something. I think that's the best thing about
Yeah.
these episodes or like list when I see them. Like, I will go with something from each band just to
Mhm.
see, like, what did I miss? What did I
Right.
miss?
Wait, was that your number two or your number one, Jeremy?
That was my number two,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I'll be, I'll, it was my number one earlier today, but then Spotify Wrapped came out, and I was like, oh shit. Well, since these were one and two, these two records I have at the top, I had to swap them. So we'll get to
That's
that though.
fair.
Yeah.
All right, my number one's gonna be a fucking weird one here. I guarantee you nobody's gonna expect this. And again, this was a late out at the tail end of October, but I've been listening to it non-fucking stop. And if it had come out earlier in the year, I guarantee I'd be listening to it. It's this band called Chat Pile. Their album Cool World.
Hmm.
This band,
Interesting.
dude, this band is everything I love about like weird hardcore.
Okay.
Um, they remind me of this band. I don't know if anybody's even gonna know this band because they only ever put out one album. And called Xerxes from like 2015, 16 or something like that, maybe even
Okay.
earlier. So the vocalist, he's got a really like modern life is war vocal style,
Love that band. Fuck yeah.
right?
Nice.
Mm.
But the
I'm sold.
guitars and everything else is so avant-garde and weird that like they kind of play some hardcore stuff and then they fucking like change it up and just do like clean guitars with harsh vocals over it and then go straight into like a weird breakdown. It's
Interesting.
fucking wild, dude. I just love
Okay.
like the mesh of genre within everything. But it's like weird spoken word parts too in
Mhm.
the songs that reminds me of like La Dispute or really early Me Without You kind of like post-hardcore stuff too.
Okay.
And I that's kind of like what I on like getting into metal, like that kind of early stuff. But I wasn't expecting this at all because like I had never really I'd heard the name before and I'm almost fucking positive they played here in Chattanooga and I did not go to the show. Um but yeah, so I checked it out when it came out because I was like, oh yeah, I've heard of these guys. Like, let me give this a spin. I kid you not, like I've just listened to it every day, like since it came out. And it's
Nice.
so fucking good. It's heavy, it's just good. And like the stuff that they're like writing and singing about like societal issues, again, it's something I gravitate towards too. So it's like got some really good lyric themes in there as well. Um, and yeah, I went back and like listened to all their old discography and I was like be one of my new favorite bands. And so even though it's a late edition, I guarantee you I'm going to be listening to it for the next year and it will probably if I rap next year.
Nice.
100%.
Nice.
And it's
Nice.
such a weird album. I don't even know like how to explain the tone that they have captured, and it's not for everybody. I guarantee you that some people are gonna listen. It's like, what the fuck? Like you picked this as your number one? Yes, I did, but
Nice.
that's just my personal taste.
Stand behind it, man.
I love it.
Nice. All right, you ready for mine?
Let's go. Let's hear it.
Okay, so that Silosis the Path EP was going to be number one because I mean I really connected with it, but this is another one that I really connected with, band that I've already brought up already to spoil it a little bit. But I looked at my Spotify Wrapped and their first single from this album is my number one listened to song. So I was like, all
No.
right, it's a sign. Fit for an Autopsy, the Nothing That Is.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yep.
You're talking
Uh,
about that.
Yep, yep. Killer record, dude. Great follow up from the last one, Oh What the Future Holds. And I'll be honest, the last record was the first time I really started paying attention to them. Like I would kind of
Oh
see them
wow.
around. I'm pretty sure that they've been on bills for bands that I was going to go see and stuff, and just didn't grab me, maybe I just wasn't even open to like paying attention to them.
Hmm.
Like you go to a show with like a group of friends and like you're there to see the headliner and maybe one other band, and then you kind of everyone's outside smoking cigarettes for like the second band, and you kind of catch like a song or two. They were kind of like on that tier for me for a long time. Like I was always around them; they're always in my peripheral. That last record really got my attention. Um, this one, the first song and the first single, "Hostage." They went a little like metalcore structure
Right.
singing, but god damn, it is good, dude. It is so good. That was my number one listened to song this year. I was kind of surprised
Damn.
by it because uh, I listen to that whole record all the time. And in fact, their second single, Savior of None, Ashes of All, is still my favorite song on that album. I'm pretty sure I was pretty sure that I listened to that more than anything, but um, that song's so fucking badass, man. The Savior of None, Ashes of All. When I was explaining it to my wife the first time, she loves the band Era.
Hmm.
You know, the melodic metalcore band, crushing
Yeah,
it everywhere.
they put something out this year too.
They did. It came up on
Yeah,
our yeah, that came up on our
my
list last time.
list. Yeah.
Yep. Good record. So I was telling her I was like trying to sell her on Fit for an Autopsy, and she likes metal and everything. Like she loves like Meshuggah and I mean down to like Rivers of Nile era, whatever. She's kind of all
Mhm.
over the place. Um, but I was like, yeah, this chorus sounds like if Jesse Cash from Era was singing over a Gojira song. You know, like it's really kind of what they pulled off. And I thought that it was like I was like, what guitar player is singing? Like, is their bass player singing now? No, dude, it's Joe, their main
Yeah.
vocalist. Like
Yeah, Joe.
he's good, man. Uh, I kind of look at him as one of the best in the business. We went and saw him live. Saw them with Silosis actually
Mhm.
back in October. Here's one where I was excited for the album. So the again, this album came out on my birthday. We were there the day before the album came out, and I went ahead and bought the vinyl. They were selling it like the night before or whatever, and bought a couple T-shirts or whatever. And but seeing them live kind of raised my hype for the album to where like they even played like two songs like from the album that weren't out yet. That I immediately like the next morning I woke up and like I want to hear that one from last night. I want to hear this one from last night. And then pulling the whole record, man, is killer. By the time you get to the last song, it's like what I was saying about Joe Bad, their vocalist. Like uh, at the end, he's doing clean singing in a way that I didn't think Fit for an Autopsy would be able to pull off. But absolutely crushes it.
Yeah.
It surprised me like what he could do with his vocals on this record. I think he really evolved, or like we were talking earlier, like is it one of those things where it's he has this tool and how can they implement it? And I think they've gotten better at implementing it. Not to mention the songwriting and everything on this is top tier, dude. Great guitar playing.
Yeah.
Sure you guys know Will Putney like does all their writing and all that, but
Yep.
you go see the live band and both guitar players, Tim Howley and Pat Sheridan, crush it. Both of them doing solos, both of them doing badass leads. Killer band.
I think what you mentioned right there was it. Will Putney, maybe Joe got comfortable saying, "Hey, I want to try this," or Will heard it in his wheels. So was like, "Hey, let's implement this." But
Yeah,
you know, the
why aren't
conversation
we
was
doing
happening
that?
between those two. Some
Had
like
to have been.
both, yeah. So
Yeah,
Good
I
point.
I enjoyed the record a whole lot, but for whatever reason, just didn't make my list. But I really did enjoy it. I've been on that band since like day one when they had Nate Johnson
Mhm.
starting out, and then I fell off around Sea of Tragic Beast, I think. And so
Mhm.
those two, three records that came out, and then this one, I was like, okay, cool, I'm back. I'm into it.
Nice. Nice.
I think Black Mammoth though is like the best song they've ever done. They really
yeah,
haven't quite captured that same thing from that track for me personally.
Right.
Um,
I have to be in
and
a
that
mood to
whole
listen to it
album.
because they're kind of competition. So it's like I'm gonna
Mhm.
analyze it a little bit too much. I'm not gonna be able to enjoy it, but I
For
will
sure.
eventually get over it and then enjoy it.
Yeah,
Oh, dude. Great band.
it's a good
Great
record
band.
though.
Yeah.
All right, all right. I have one EP and then just two quick honorable mentions.
Go for it, dude. Yeah, I'm out.
Um, the other EP was the new I Declare War. They put out Downcast Volume 2. Um, always been big supporters of these dudes. They're homies. So, I mean, I guess I'm kind of biased on that one too.
Mhm.
But
All
they're
good, dude.
again one of those bands that just they don't tour a lot, so everything they do is like out of their own pocket.
Mhm.
And they're playing shows with you guys soon. That
Yeah, yeah.
those shows, so
It was kind of a
big up.
bittersweet thing because we just played Seattle on the last tour, and I ran into a guitar player that we had toured with back in the day. And I was like, "So you're back in?" He goes, "No, I already quit." And I was like, "Oh,
Oh,
Damn.
man."
damn,
So
man.
he just did a tour with him. He may be on the EP, he may not be, but it
Okay.
was kind of like a bit. I was like, "Oh, at least we got to hang out." So
Yeah, I mean it's
Yeah.
hard, man. They kind of they're not inactive. It's just like, they're bands that like their personal lives take up more of their time
yeah,
that they're
he's
able
got
to
a business
not
to run.
like right.
Yeah.
So they can't dedicate enough time to the music, and I get it. It's hard, man.
Yeah.
So, but got to support those guys. That's my other EP, and then I mentioned Scenic. But my honorable mention here, or one of them, is a non-metal record.
Oh, all right.
My true number one record. It's the new Cure album. 100%.
Oh, wow.
That
Interesting.
fucking album rules. The band sounds like they have literally just picked up from 1984 and just been like, "Oop, here we are. We're just back at it."
No way.
That's cool.
Dude, it's so good. So fucking good. I've always loved The Cure though. I don't know. I'm that kind of guy. Just want to listen to some sad songs sometimes.
Nice. Hey, I hear you, dude.
But my other honorable mention, and it's only because it just came out, and I listened to it like once or twice, but I know they would be on like my best of list, but think this band is severely underrated. It's a new Body Count record, Merciless.
Oh, I haven't even listened to it.
That's
Dude.
funny.
I love Body Count,
It's good?
dude.
It's good, man. I think this band is really underrated, and I think they get a bad rap because, well, no pun intended, but the rapping from Ice-T. But he's not always rapping. He's doing
Yeah.
like some harsh vocals, and they get guest vocalists to like do other shit, which
Right.
they did on their last record. But this one, I mean, we already mentioned it, but Joe Bad's on it.
Yep.
Leech from Kill Switch, and then Corpse Grinders on the fucking record.
That's sick.
Okay. Yeah, that's
That's probably because they did Mayhem together
Right, right.
Okay.
And then
way back in the day.
I think,
I saw them at Mayhem Body Count and blew me the fuck away, dude. So much fun.
yeah.
It was probably
Yeah.
that year. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Again, the album just came out. It's like it's on my list. But
Damn, I need to
again, I
listen to
think the history that band has is really intriguing to me, and I've always been like a passive kind of fan of them. But then that last album they put out during the pandemic, that's when I kind of came back and was like, holy shit, this band actually fucking rule. And I was so glad I got Riley from Trip on that record before he passed away.
Yeah.
So that's like one of the last things he did, I think. So, yeah. And again, like the fact that they're getting these dudes from other metal bands, they like, they're not just like, for lack of a better word, posers. Because I think that's how some people
I
look at
agree.
this band, and I think that's completely unfair. So
Nah, they're not.
that's my spiel.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like with Body Count, I was a little skeptical at first, and
Right.
whenever they were at Mayhem Fest back in 2014 or whatever it was,
Mhm.
I was like, let's see how Ice-T does, like controlling a metal crowd. Like it's a different thing.
Yeah.
He kills it, man. He kills it. He owns the place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I got into that record that when they first came back, didn't they? Am I wrong about this? Did they win a Grammy or something?
They probably performed. They may have.
I mean,
know.
like, are they
They're
big
doing
enough?
Jimmy Kimmel, or not Jimmy Kimmel, Jimmy Fallon tonight.
Nice. Yeah, look up if they won a Grammy. How did Will Putney get a Grammy? Let me ask you that.
Yeah, they
was it
did.
that?
They
Was it
won.
them?
They won a Grammy on their last album.
And that's Will Putney's, right?
It is.
I mean, like he was part of that.
production, mixing, mastering, additional guitar.
There it is.
Yep.
Pretty badass. Yeah, that's crazy. Fucking Grammy, dude. Especially someone like Will Putney. I mean, not that the dude isn't extremely talented, but it's just like the type of
Yeah, but he's an
music that he
engineer
chooses to
as
work.
well. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, killer engineer, killer producer, and yeah, it sounds like he played guitars on that too. I imagine, he probably plays guitars on every album that he engineers. Does something
Right.
at least, like, hey, let's do a lead like this. I'm just gonna.
Well, I
track
mean,
it.
when you have him, when he has that skill, you're not going to not utilize it. Nah, we got it from here. Take it easy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, my
Every
man's
time
the
we
same
talk with
way.
Sukov, that was the same thing. We're like,
Yeah.
come on. Like,
Yeah.
he listens to records. Will Putney has to listen to records all year, whether he's working on it or not.
Mhm.
Anything that stuck out that he's like, hey, we could try this or do this or add this.
Mhm.
If he speaks up, I'm not going to say no. So
Right.
I would.
Yeah,
I would
it's part of what
imagine
you're paying him
anyone else.
for.
Yeah.
Is those kinds of suggestions and stuff. But even our drummer, he's our producer too. But before he was our drummer, it was like he'd be like, "Ooh, I think it'd be cool if we did a lead like this." Do you guys care if I just track it? And I'm like, no. It's usually something easy. I don't need to add more more of my own character to it or anything like that. But
Or
but
even
you
if
know,
that idea is there, and then you're like, boom, that sparks something. There you go.
Yeah.
yeah, that
Yeah.
happens. That happens plenty too. Yeah.
Well, fuck yeah. That's
Well, hold on. I got one more honorable mention
oh,
just to hear what you guys wanted
perfect.
to
Yeah, I
say.
got one that you guys both skipped that I wanted after
Perfect.
after
Okay.
you. Yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say new Black Dahlia murder. What'd you guys think about
Yeah,
that?
yeah, yeah. I was surprised that didn't make the list. See, that's why, because I
Yeah.
knew you're going in knowing that the vocals was different, but what were you
Mhm.
expecting? Did you go in with expectations?
So
No,
no, I didn't.
no.
I was more of just like I was very excited that they're back because
Yeah, yeah.
always
Ryan
been
Knight's
one of
back.
my favorite bands. Yeah, Ryan Knight's back. He was kind of always my favorite guitar player of theirs.
Mhm.
But yeah, having him and Brandon Ellis is killer.
Mhm.
Uh, I like Brian's vocals. I think they sound good on the record. I think
Yeah, yeah.
it's staying true to Black Dahlia,
Yep.
and staying true to kind of the style and the sound.
Yeah.
Um,
I got worried
and
because
putting
someone
out
described his vocals to me, and before I heard a single thing, and I was like, "Oh no!" It actually has me kind of worried because someone said that it was like it's like old school mellow death, and I was like, okay." But
eh,
then I heard him, I was like, "Nah, it's not. It's him. It's still him, and
yeah,
it's still
exactly.
Dahlia." Yeah,
Yeah, it's enough like what Trevor was bringing. Obviously, like no one's gonna replace that, and I'm glad they didn't try and like replace him with a new vocalist.
yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
Right.
like they got one of the core guys to do it, one
yeah,
of his
yeah.
best friends, a guy who knows this shit in and out. So I love seeing that. Thought the record was really good, but I will say with Black Dahlia, if that comes on, I'm gonna go, man, that's awesome.
You hear them come on. You want to hear what?
I want to go back to like Nocturnal and Deformed.
Oh man!
You know
All
what I
right, all
mean?
right.
But and that's just nostalgia, and that's me going
Mhm.
like, I miss Trevor.
Mhm.
But
When
it
that
not,
first single came out, I was kind of like, "All right, Aftermath, that's cool, whatever."
yeah.
Yeah.
That next one came out, Mammoth. What was
Mhm.
it? Mammoth what? That one that sold me. I was like, this is it. This is Dahlia. I'm fucking in.
Yeah, I did enjoy the record a lot, but I just feel like also Black Dahlia is a band where I've gotten into every single record that I kind of always go back to like my favorite three.
It's
You
gonna
know,
happen. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of what I mean by that. Doesn't mean that like oh yeah, oh listen, new Black Dahlia, fuck that, putting on the old shit. I
Yeah.
don't mean to sound like that.
But no,
You know,
it's that's what the catalog has done. You're gonna
Yeah.
you're
right?
gonna listen to it, and then it gateways back to the comfort.
Yep,
I want to
yep,
now it makes me want to listen to more. But
yeah.
it's the old stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
We
I
ran
didn't
into Ryan
dislike the
Knight.
record.
Oh, we
Go
ran
ahead.
into Ryan Knight before the record came out, and I asked him, I was like, "So how'd the writing go?" And I thought it was cool where he said, "Brian wrote three, Ryan wrote three, Brandon wrote three," and then I think then they had,
Perfect.
I don't know who wrote one more, but I thought
Fuck
that was
yeah.
cool. I was like, that's what I want. It's gonna be every era of Dahlia.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I love all three of those. I loved when it was just Brian. I love the stuff with Ryan Knight, and I love the stuff with Brandon. So yeah, super talented group. Glad that they got it going again.
The weird thing where like no matter what now that it's like the Suicide Silence thing. Like that shadow is gonna overhang for a little while. It's gonna
Hmm.
probably take like two or three records, and then eventually people are gonna be like, "This is fine. This is Black Dahlia Murder."
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think it's gonna have to come into like people seeing them live again and being like, oh shit, no, like
yeah,
maybe people being like not that stoked that Black Dahlia is on the festival and they're there to see somebody else or something,
Mhm.
but when they
But
hear
it
those
backfires the other
songs,
way too, because that Trevor was a personality, and Brian's
hmm
not the same kind of guy with the same kind of humor.
right.
no,
So people are gonna go there, and it's like Brian's gonna be cracking his jokes and being himself. That's not the same. And
yeah,
it
but
doesn't
Brian's
matter
still
if the
funny as
lyrics are
shit.
the vocals are on point.
Yeah,
They just want the other guy.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm
Hard to
glad
replace a
Ryan
legend.
came back,
Hmm.
and at the end of the day, like I can't say I ever knew Trevor personally, but I feel like that's what he would have wanted anyways. So it's just like it makes sense for them all to make an album like like song. I mean,
Yeah,
why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
it wasn't on my list, but I liked the record enough to where I was like, this is fine. But
I
it's kind of
wanted to
like you
put it on
said
my
too.
list. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
it's
listen.
just
I
like I
listen to
would
shit out of the
rather.
record. Yeah.
Yeah,
nice. Is that the one that you were gonna bring up?
No, I wanted to bring up. Well, I'll bring up one for Dustin. So we're talking about Dahlia. What do you think of the Darkest Hour record that came out, Perpetual
so
Terminal?
that was on my list
Killer.
last time, man,
Yeah,
and I
yeah,
love
yeah.
that
Okay.
record.
Me
I
too.
did too. Yeah, yeah.
But I don't know, man. It's just like too much after a while, and I was like, oh, I mean, like this record's good, but
Mhm.
am I still listening to it as much as all the other records? And I wasn't.
It didn't have the staying power. I got it. I listened to
Yeah,
it. I played the shit out of it for that month,
Mhm.
and then diminishing returns. But I
yeah,
was stoked on it though. Initially, yeah.
Yeah, no,
yeah.
that's exact experience that I had with it. Because yeah, when Dustin had it on his list last time, I was like, damn, like uh, I forgot to put it on mine, and you know, went back, listened to it like the next day, and remember like, damn, there were so many great songs on here. But yeah, like
Yeah.
you're saying, it didn't have the staying power. Not because it was bad or whatever. I don't know. I don't know that that's not like a standout record in their catalog, I guess. It's more of
Yeah.
great
Yeah.
shit from them, and
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with that. And if you're a hardcore Darkest Hour fan, like I'm sure you're still listening to it right now.
Mhm.
Even though I'm a big fan too, I don't know. I also go through these things where an album like that, I bet you next year at the same like month that came out, I'm gonna get a little nostalgic about, what I was doing last year,
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm gonna spend that shit again,
Yeah. It's on my phone so that when I'm playing something and then randomly it just sticks something else, it always
Mm,
plays something from that record. So I'm like, oh yeah, I never skip it. So
yeah, no, it's
yeah.
good shit.
My favorite thing about that band is because they're one of the early bands that I got into when I started listening to metal. They're just like a really nice warm hug. So it doesn't matter what song it is. If I hear it, like, this feels good. It's like
Yeah.
I fucking love this.
Yeah, and it
Just
always
bring it
sounds
in.
like
But
that.
I don't need it all the time. You know what I mean? I don't need to
Sure.
get
Yeah.
hugged all the time.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's true. It's a good
But I do love
analogy.
them, and I think
Yeah.
go into the band was like a real smart move. So
Mm.
um yeah, I'm curious to see what they do next. I think they're
Yeah.
going on tour. Did they tour this year?
They're on tour
No,
right
they did.
now in
Okay.
Europe with I forget who the headliner is, but Silosis is opening.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
shit.
Dang, who's
I
the headliner?
I
Yeah, we got to see.
I think they did tour earlier this year too, and I was gonna go to
They
their
did,
show
yeah.
and I couldn't make
Yeah,
it because they were gonna be up in Knoxville. And I was like,
yeah,
oh,
okay. Yeah,
for that.
they're
And
in
I
Europe
just
right now.
Hell
And
yeah.
you're gonna trip it because the headliner's like, what?
Get this shit. No, so it's Fit for an Autopsy, the headliner,
There
then
you go.
Silosis, then Darkest Hour, and then Harriet.
Oh
The band
shit,
that I,
Harriet's opening. Okay,
yeah,
that's
what the
funny.
fuck?
That's all the bands on the
hell
list. That's
yeah.
funny.
Yeah, right.
Well, that's
Damn,
usually
that's
what
cool.
happens when if every band comes out with a record in the
Mhm.
States and they all do the album tours, they all get bundled up together for one tour in Europe.
There you go, dude.
Yeah.
And I mean, Silosis is already fucking massive in Europe.
Yeah.
You know what's weird about Silosis? So they came back. They hadn't played in Atlanta for, I think they told us like 11 years. And I don't think they'd been to the States, but maybe like one time in the last decade or something.
Yeah, yeah. And
Damn.
we crossed paths with them. I remember we played a show in Joliet way back in the day. And I don't know if they were on an off day or on a routing show, but they opened up as the local band on our tour. So we were a 5 band package and we're like, who's the local? And then it wasn't then they walked in, I saw the name. I was like, "Oh, they're not a local band. I know these
Oh,
guys.
that's
I've heard of
cool.
these guys. That's weird."
Wow.
So they played at the local opening slot in Joliet, Illinois on our tour. Yeah.
That's insane.
It
Yeah.
was cool. Yeah. I was like, I get to see them for free. This is sick.
Dude, yeah, that's badass. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, they're so big over in Europe, but when they did that Fit for an Autopsy tour uh back in October, it was like they were the second band of the night.
Yep.
And
Yep.
it's
Yep.
like,
Yep.
are they really not that big in the US or in North
Yeah.
America?
Sometimes it happens like that. Yeah.
Yep.
That's insane to me, like, but I think it'll
I think the
happen for
hype's
them.
building up for them right now. So they got to be getting up in the slots.
Yeah, and I feel like with their set, they kind of catered, obviously they had like a 30-minute set. I would love to see them do, 45 to an hour one day. Or maybe I just got to go to Europe to see it. But I feel like they kind of catered their set to be more like what they thought the other bands were doing, like just kind of more of their heavier, straightforward stuff,
Yeah.
which I like too. But like I was telling you, like I love that like epic shit that they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they didn't really touch any of that, which kind of sucked. But whatever. I'm not gonna. I had a chance to see them 11 years ago and I didn't do it. I'm not gonna make that mistake again.
Oh yeah.
I mean, hey man, sometimes get I feel like DX have to do that sometimes. Like you guys took out some of the songs that were less breakdowny on like that obituary tour.
Yeah. 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 We try to
Because
play
it
all the
was like,
faster, heavier stuff. The
yeah,
more death
Yeah,
metal
every
stuff.
band does it. Yeah,
gotta,
Yeah.
gotta know what's gonna go over well.
All right, my mention, the record of the year that came out, I looked forward to the most.
Mhm.
That when it came, I was fucking happy, and when I listened to it, I wasn't disappointed. I was a lot. There's like some black cloud over the main member because of some shitty shit he did, but I'm always stuck because every record that he does has members that I've never heard of or I have heard of from the black metal scene, specifically Chicago, and then they always write cool shit. Knocked Mystium.
Mm.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was
Yeah,
called
it's
Blight something. So like that was the record that just came out. It's like
yeah.
Blight. Oh man, I got it right here.
Whoa.
Blight Privilege. That's why I keep
Okay.
throwing it off because it's like weird to say
Blight
privilege.
privilege.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
pretty cool. Nice.
No, it's great. It's psych black metal. So like you were mentioning
Yeah.
like Pink Floyd stuff earlier, but it's not like
Yep.
that. It's like it's like black metal, but then they have all these cool psychedelic stuff going on. And I went to see who was on the roster, and Ken Sorceron's playing bass.
There you go.
Yeah.
I thought they had a weird like him and that dude.
Who? Him and Ken?
Yeah, I'm blanking on his name, like the vocal guy.
Yeah, Blake Judd was a heroin addict, and then
Yeah, yeah.
he burned. He like burned every music, like a bunch of musicians that in the scene and in his own band, and then there's some issues where he like didn't follow through on some pre-orders and stuff, but he writes good
Yeah,
music.
God, I remember that shit.
Yeah, like it's all always controversy, but I was like, I'm still gonna listen to it. It's sick shit.
Yeah, I mean,
Sometimes
as
it'd
long
be
as
like
he's
that.
not like peddling white supremacy or something fucked up like that, can
Yeah,
be a heroin
yeah.
addict, that's fine.
It's not old school black metal, man. It's new
No,
school.
no,
Yeah, I remember I'm not really speaking out of pocket here, but when I had one of the guys from this band Wolfhammer on, he did not have like a single nice thing to say about that guy.
yeah, because
It's
see, because he's got history. These people might
yeah,
have history.
yeah. I get it. Shit happens. But that's good. I do like that band. I kind of forgot about them though, to be honest.
Mhm.
It's like, I do I remember them. Nah.
Yeah, we gotta check this shit out though.
Yeah, yeah. No,
Yep.
when that first record came out that I was into the Assassins, I was like, I was sold. Then I listened to everything after that. Of course, the ups and downs with him and all the shit he was doing, but I was like, but the
Yeah.
music always turned out great.
That's what happens sometimes, man. They
Mhm.
use
Yeah,
that
dude.
to like make the good music. But I think that's all of our picks, right? We did it.
We
Came to
did
the
it.
end.
It's been
We
a good
did
year,
it.
boys.
2024 in the books. Talked about a fuck ton of records. Again,
Yeah.
I just
So many we
stress.
missed too.
I
Oh
know.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. If you're watching this on YouTube, leave what we missed in the comments, or, get some engagement going here. Tell us stuff that you listen to. I've
Mhm.
actually, funny enough, one of my most commented things besides like one of my interviews is that episode 6 months ago, and it's people like leaving their lists or like, yeah, check this out. And I was like, dude,
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
absolutely. So do that again, people, if you're watching this, and tell us what we missed and what you enjoyed.
Hell yeah. Yeah, we
I'm
did
gonna
like
add all the stuff that you told me on the list.
there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had 20 records and then threw in a couple extra ones, man. Talked about,
Yeah.
25, 30 records.
Well, what's
Not
one
bad.
final thing? What is everybody looking forward to next year?
Hmm.
Mm,
Chapel for
oh.
me, for sure. That's
Yeah,
my
Chapel.
number one.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Who's one that Dude, I really hope Rivers and Nile puts out a record next year.
I think
They
they are. I think they are. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they were putting
They
out singles at the beginning of the year and then they
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 were in the
like
studio in the summer. They are. If it doesn't come out this year, it's coming out next year because they were just in the studio over the summer.
watch them surprise drop at the end of the year
Mhm.
and they don't get to make my list.
I got it.
Crazy.
If it's sick, it's got to be first quarter next year then.
That makes
Oh, it's gonna
sense.
be so cool. If that's the case, man, I'm
Oh, new
super stoked.
Pathology. I'm excited about that because Kevin Schwartz is
Oh
back
yeah.
in the band. So he did the
Nice.
Time of Great Purification and the Great Awakening. Those are my two
Yeah.
favorite records. He's writing the new stuff. I'm fucking stoked on that one.
There
I
you
don't
Yeah,
know
I
if
go.
like
it's
that
next
band a
year, but
lot.
I know he told me how many songs in he's already. So that one is definitely on my radar.
Nice.
You gotta hook us up when that drops, Fred. If you
Oh yeah.
get me in touch with him, I would love to have them on.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
I could definitely hook you up with Kevin. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That is all for heavy metal history this year. I don't know when this is gonna, it'll be up before the end of the year, but if not, I just want to thank everybody for checking out the podcast. Fred for uh, convincing me to bring it back, and also, meeting him that same night again. If it wasn't for you two, I probably wouldn't be doing this again. So, thank
Hell
you
yeah.
guys for all this.
Love it, man.
So, fuck yeah, 2024 in the books with heavy metal history. We did it.
Yeah. I got to fly out to